Yo, this little Cookie Capone. And we back with Cookies Cabaret. Yes, sir. I don't know what this one's going to be called. But we're just going to try it out and see if it worked. So, it's season 2. We already had a real talk episode. So, I'm going to just kind of introduce myself here. I'm little Cookie Capone. Cookie Mac, I don't look back. Kikara, Pookie, Kyra, Shakira. Yeah, so we're going to get this thing kicking like karate. How do y'all feel about your heart posture? Like, I don't even know how to explain that really. Your heart posture, like, basically, I guess how good your heart is. Like, because we get a lot of thinking in this world and we don't get the love we give out back. And sometimes it can be draining to keep the same heart posture and not turn cold-hearted and start returning energy and get my lick back. Because we all know the more you grow, the more you understand that your energy is precious into keeping you, guiding you to the next step in life. So you need to pick yourself up by your bootstraps and save all your energy you got for your conversation with God, to fight your battles, to get through your trials, to get through your storm. So it can be hard to not be vengeful, spiteful, and to love your neighbor anyway, and even the motherfuckers that harmed you. So it can be hard in this world to keep, a pure heart or pure intentions. But, personally, I think it's important that because my whole thing is this, I think it's important we keep a pure heart and good intentions and giving and caring and kind and compassionate, because at the end of the day, what if that's the only thing that gets us into heaven? So if that's, if that's the call, whether you get through the pearly gates or not, you might want to reconsider, because it's easier being cold-hearted. I started to get there, I was tired of being just dirt for dirt, and I was returning energy, and I was saving it for myself, and I'm not speaking my truth and stuff like that. So I was on the path to becoming cold-hearted till I realized that I need to stay the same. And it's going to hurt, and growth's going to hurt, and healing's going to hurt, and it's going to go backwards and forward and side to side like the Cupid Shuffle. So I feel like the world tells us to be cold-hearted, but I think God's word is to keep your intentions pure and to keep your heart pure and continue to show love and continue to give. I feel like that's a really, really important thing. And then we place way too much value on money. See, don't get me twisted. Money has value. Like, everybody needs it to survive, to feed your belly, to keep a roof over your head, all this. But the love of money would be what the root of all evil. So when it comes to the value of money, it's kind of not valuable to me, because I can buy 5 different pair of shoes and I can buy 20 different outfits. And at the end of the day, what I'm lacking, I'm still going to be lacking. I'm just be flying lacking. So, you can look the part all you want to, and we always do this thing about, thank God I don't look like what I've been through. But when you place the value on monetary things like money or clothes or cars or shoes, and these are all these things that we think we need to be satisfied with life, to be content with life, and we have all these goals and dreams that don't align with purpose. So if you don't have purpose, at the end of the day, you can achieve everything you want to achieve, and you can succeed in every way, and you're still going to be lacking something because you didn't have that conversation with God about purpose. I kind of released my passion for it to align with purpose. So when I'm doing this podcast, I'm not out here to be famous. I'm not out here to be liked. Of course I check my likes, nigga, duh. Nah, but I'm trying to keep it more of a authentic, just me type thing. And just something I do for fun to get a few, thoughts out this big ass head of mine. So, and then with the value of money, we put the things we can buy. So the value of possessions or monetary things, it just doesn't really mean much to me when I've had it and it didn't fill the voids or some of the voids that I have. So personally, if y'all didn't know, I'm a rapper before the podcast. Cookies Cabaret. I'm a rapper. So a lot of these lyrics I was spitting when I first started rapping, they weren't authentic to my true self. And it wasn't just because I was out here capping or anything. I didn't know any better. I just got into the art of learning how to rap, staying on beat, getting hot punchlines. So that's how it started for me for like a couple years. But I just want to, warn these rappers, be careful what you speak into existence or what you write into existence. Because, as you've seen with many rappers in the day, they'll speak their death upon them. You know what I'm saying? And they wrote that because words manifest. So just be careful what you write as far as lyrics go. And, like, you take the city girls. They rap about sex and money and finessing a nigga and shit like that. And if that's all you're putting out into the world, that's all you're going to get back. So, rappers, I encourage you to just be careful what you speak into your life, because being at this over 12 years of being a rapper and writing, and even stuff I didn't release that I wrote, it's kind of manifesting. And it's not just kind of, it's seriously manifesting. Some of the things I spoke when I rapped in verses in the past that I knew no better actually came to fruition. It taught me a lesson, which is a blessing. But you really want to be careful what you put out into the world, because there's power in the tongue and there's power in the pen. So you want to give out what you want to get back. So when I rap, my music's not for everybody, because it's what they want to hear nowadays. I don't fit into the mold, because it's a thing where I do it to soothe my soul now. It's spoken word poetry over a beat. I'm a lyricist. It's not even just rapping anymore. I've been at it a long time. I feel like I'm talented in it, but I'm very careful about what I speak now. And I'm at a new mindset, so my music changed, because once your mind starts expanding and your mind starts growing, the things you put out into the atmosphere, the things you put out into the universe, they change. And then you start to receive your blessings in accordance to what you spoke. And then you learn to purposely manifest things. So while y'all out here trying to make the number one hit, or y'all out here trying to make that chirp or that bop, I know I went real old, and you want everybody to feel you, you got to realize that you were given a gift that will help you in a time of crisis. Like, all this is therapy. It's this therapeutic. So you want to get what soothes your soul, and that'll be finding your, what they call a target audience. I just feel like people who do it to please the masses, because I've been there. So people who are rapping and making these songs to please people aren't being genuinely, authentically themselves. So now when I rap, I can't stray from who I know I am now. So it's just a lot of just deep stuff. And then you get mad when motherfuckers don't catch a tricky little bar you put in there. But I'm trying to get over looking for the approval of others. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be more secure in myself. So just be careful what you're speaking to exist and what you're manifesting in your raps, and then get to know yourself so you can be authentically yourself, and then the people that are for you will find you. Trust me. So I heard a lot back in the day about you only get one first impression, and I don't know how I feel about that really, because a first impression, it gives a generalized, reading a book by its cover, it gives a generalized thought about somebody. But I feel like if you're ignorant enough to judge a book by its cover, then you're not broad enough mentally to even be in my presence. And I don't say that cocky. I don't say that arrogant or conceited. It's just, even if you go off hearsay, like, oh, he said, she said, if you believe any of what you hear, you're a damn fool. So if my first impression means everything and you're gonna act accordingly and not even try to get to know me, then that first impression did what it was supposed to do and weeded you out my life. So I'm more on the edge of what people see in me, because I have a lot of people that knew the younger Cookie. So I spend a lot of time knowing myself now and being proud of how far I came. And I wish, just on the inside, just being honest, humble, honest, open, transparent. I wish that some of those people that I still have love for, that's no longer in my life, could see me now. And it's not to rub it in their face or anything. I just feel like I'm a better version, not the best, because I'm still growing, but I feel like I'm a better version than I was before. And I got so much love for them people still, even though we're not associated, that I kind of wish they had a seat at my table to see me for who I am now, or even for who I'm going to be later. But, God is going to see you through that, So as far as what I hope people see in me, I hope people see God in me. I hope people see good. I hope they can recognize my pure intentions, and I deserve compassion and understanding as well. So I just feel like I give that out, so I should be able to. Now, as far as fame and fortune goes, I don't want the fame. I mean, if it comes, God will protect me, but there's so many different aspects about the industry that I don't know anything about. Like, you see these demonic rituals, and everybody's got a conspiracy theory about, you see these demonic rituals, and everybody's got a conspiracy theory about the industry, and it's all demonic. And if I had a choice, because we're talking about fame or fortune here, if I had a choice, I don't want fame. So that's another thing that changed my rap career, because I was so nose to the pavement, grind hard, make what these people want to hear, until I got to weighing fame or fortune. Because you can do the same thing with your fortune and not be in the eye of the public. So I would bypass fame. And once I did that, my music took on a whole nother level, because now I'm doing me. And I'm not worried about going viral. I'm not worried about blowing up or people seeing my face or wanting all the attention, because I just feel like there's so much deeper. And, conspiracy theories have added to that. But I feel like there's so many deeper demonic things that may possibly be in the industry with fame that I'm not ready or willing to expose myself to. So I think that was the best blessing as far as musically goes. And I mean, of course, I still struggle with looking at my likes and my views. But I mean, I appreciate 100 views over 100K or 100 mil, because now I'm in the public eye. I can't even scratch my damn ass without somebody taking a photo of me, or go in Walmart. And that's just not the life I want to live. And there's too much unknown. I wouldn't voluntarily step into something that I knew was demonic, just because God done brought me through a lot, and I'm not going to voluntarily put myself back in another trial or to learn more lessons, and the lessons that I've already learned. So just thinking about struggling, how do you face your struggles? Like anything, like what I do is I change perspective. I change perception, because where you can look at a situation like, oh, I just got evicted. I just lost my kids. And it's hard having an open mind and a different perspective, because when a motherfucker you care about or love is down and out, the last thing they want to hear is, you gonna be alright. They want to get it off their chest. They want to vent. Sometimes they don't even want to hear nothing good. So when it's talking about how to face your struggles, personally, how I face my struggles is I just keep walking, whether I can see my next step or not. So, I rely on God a lot for that, and I pray a lot, and I just keep moving, and that's what you would call a walk by faith. So I take all my struggles to the chin, and I get back up, and I continue to walk my walk, and I continue to fight my fight, because it's human nature to fight your fight. But when you realize that it's not your battle, it's the Lord's, then you come into a space where you can surrender. But I feel like personally, we give things to God and we take it back, and that's not true surrender. So I feel like, being human nature to fight your fight, I feel like true surrender only comes after the tank is on E. You have no more fight left. And then that's when God will continue. He'll show up and he'll continue to bless you and he'll get you through these things. But my form of a pep talk is fight your fight like you would fight a bitch on the street. So that's how I handle my struggles. Now, when you're talking about accountability and self-awareness, you got to realize that, because I hear a lot of, I'm getting out of Bluefield, if I could change my location. But all these things that you're filling these voids with in Bluefield, you're going to fill it with in Charlotte. You're going to fill it with in New York. Because you're lacking some substance and you feel like you should fill that void, when sometimes it just needs to be empty so it can heal. So all these toxic traits, the way you pick your men, the way you pick your women, the sacrifices you make just to feel love from somebody who is probably faking it in the first place, or doesn't know how to properly love you, and all the abuse you take and stuff like that, and just basically all the shit you take to the chin, even with your friends. Like, y'all could be a group of messy bitches, and you're gonna want that love or that group friendship so much that you're gonna join in, and birds of a feather flock together, and you're gonna become a messy bitch. So all these toxic traits, like, you think you ain't forgave your daddy for not being there, that it's gonna heal somehow in Charlotte or New York. No, you're still gonna have that void for that need for a father. So what you really want to do is, I know people avoid actually being by themselves because they can't handle it mentally. Been there before too. So what you need to do is set some time out to yourself, where you toe to toe with them demons, or you toe to toe with them voids, and you pray through it and you ask for discernment and understanding so that you can learn how to heal. And then as far as healing goes, it's so many aspects to healing. Sometimes you got to go backwards, forward, side to side. And sometimes you think you're healed and you're not. And then you want to forget, but you can't forget. So it's a process. Some days you're healed, some days you're not. Because I go through a lot of ups and downs, being bipolar and mood swings and stuff like this. But what I try to do is never take it out on anybody. I would pray that my circle of people that I entrust, myself around, would offer compassion if I have one bad day in 3 years, that they would understand that, I have some things going on that I may not speak of, but are very relevant in how I'm acting in this moment. Because I don't give a fuck how much you love a motherfucker. They're never going to be perfect. Like, there's no time where a motherfucker is going to do everything right. But we base that gotta be perfect shit off of the standards that we put on our life, because we're so hard on ourselves. And that's half the battle. Because when you start to show yourself grace, you're not where you want to be. You're not who you want to be with. You don't have the self-confidence. So when you're looking at that, it's more of a... I lost my train of thought, y'all. But when you look at all these things, you got to stand them toe to toe, face to face, and moving a location ain't going to change what you lack. You got to stand toe to toe, and through God, you got to figure out what the next step is. Or even if you don't know a next step, or you ain't got no faith to move on, just get back up, wipe your tears, because that location is not going to change what you're lacking. And then a lot of people have what we call like separation anxiety. They don't ever want to be alone. And to me, that's really, really toxic. When you can't be okay with yourself and you have to fill it with all these people, that's how people cross boundaries, and you form toxic attachments too, because you let too close, because they were never meant to be there. But you have separation anxiety and you don't want to be alone because you can't face your demons. So anybody that's active or messenger, you hitting up and want to hang with. That's not making sure the people around you appreciate you or deserve you. So you're a glutton for punishment when you let everybody have access to you. So learn to be alone. Learn to stand toe to toe. Learn to fight your fight. And then genuinely surrender. Because you got fake friends, and then you got associates, and then you got people that just want to drink and do drugs. And when you're looking at shit like that, those are different bonds. But we all know that friends can become family. So we got to get to a point where we're making requirements for people so we can recognize the sisterhoods we built through friends becoming family. So I'm never gonna appreciate you to your full value if I put you in the category of an associate, or if I have so many people doing me wrong. I'm never gonna appreciate how good your heart is, how much you are like me, how much you are there for me, because friends can become family. And then you build your village, you can build your family. And I value friendship so much, because when you finally get those good people that do become family, it kind of like sets the bar for anybody else coming into your life, because you have to have boundaries. And a lot of people so busy people pleasing that they negate their boundaries. I don't ever want to have to be forced to make your timeline my timeline, or to make my timeline your timeline. If I'm not ready to open up yet, I don't want you to have to manipulate your words because you want more. I understand you want to be a safe place for somebody, but it should never be manipulated. A lot of things go wrong in this world because we're not letting things progress naturally. We're not letting these relationships grow and build in time. To get security, we want to just jump the fence. And not only is that disrespectful to you because you're invading privacy and now you're a manipulator, it's disrespectful to the person you claim you love because they're not ready for that yet. That can be a trauma in its own. A motherfucker too close, too soon. So we just have conversations like this and try to, enlighten people. And this is just how I feel about certain things. So I mean, take it how you want it. Just a few topics, but friends can become family, and they are valuable family members, so don't ever negate that. I do a lot of poetry, and being a rapper, at some point rap stole my poetry. I had to get back to that poetic nature and that poetic state, because I was so busy trying to make a chirp or a bop, and I wanted all the likes, and I wanted the fame, and I just wanted to be rich. So I negated poetry, and then I had to learn how to become a poet again because it all came out as rap. I mean, some of it still does, but I mean, it's two sides to the coin. It's still the same coin. But my favorite poet, and the only famous poet I know, would be Maya Angelou. And if I could write a poem to make her proud, I think that would be, because still waters run deep. And I'm a Scorpio, so, we're probably the most toxic water sign, because still waters run deep. Like, if you can't swim, don't come over here. And I'm not baiting motherfuckers into being it, but with my poetic nature, I just have a way with words, and I never want to use those words to manipulate or force or try to speed up the growth process. So I'm very careful at what I say and who I say it to. And, my poetry is just for me and special people in my life. So I'm not trying to be famous off a book or be like Maya Angelou, but I definitely respect her and her talent. And if there was anything close I could compare myself to, it would have to be Maya Angelou. She was, a powerful woman. You could just tell by the way she talked, her cadence, her tone of voice, that she was a survivor, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was an auntie, she was a mother. I mean, I don't know if she was really a mother, but she was just a strong black woman. And when I'm looking, because I'm gay, so when I'm looking for a woman, it's probably the opposite of what a man would look for in a woman. They want a woman who can submit and do dishes and cook and clean and be there for them. But I'm looking for somebody that can correct me when I'm wrong. A real powerful woman that when I can't drive the ship, she can drive the ship. So it's basically the opposite. I want you to be strong enough to be able to lead the way if I ever can't, and to pick my head up, because these battles I go through aren't anything light, and it's not for the weak-minded to even begin to comprehend. So I don't talk about it a lot to, just anybody, and I don't vent to just anybody. So I definitely have boundaries up, and sometimes it makes it a little hard to connect or open up, because I do have these boundaries, and sometimes they hinder me. Because the thing about a wall is, not only does it keep people out, but it keeps you in. So when you're doing that, what would y'all consider to be grown? I feel like grown is more of a mindset than any accomplishment. You think you're out here and you're 18, it's not an age, and you got your own apartment, it's not a place, or you're making money, it's not monetary, or you got clothes. That's not being grown. To me, grown is when you can change your perspective and challenge things that you were actually taught that may not be the right thing. When I can actually go investigate something I was taught myself, like the concept of loyalty. Why we gotta ride or die? Why can't we just go calm down and nobody has to die and nobody has to go to jail? Why can't we just ride around the block till you calm down? And I try to tell you, just try to say anything to calm you down, to keep you from ruining your life, because in the snap of a second, you could be locked up. In a snap of a second, you could be hurt, like beyond repair. So it's these snap decisions that we make out of anger, and we all know that you can't think clearly in the heat of anger. So most people won't acknowledge that they have that beast inside of them to really do something spiteful, because we don't want to expose our faults when we're working to fix them, because we already want to be fixed. When that your soulmate comes around, you want to be fixed. But I feel like you deserve love now, in the state that you're in now, and it's hard to do that, because I've always had an old soul. So when I'm talking grown, it's more of a mindset. If you're willing to challenge loyalty, friendship, what you thought was, you're willing to admit your shortcomings, and I feel like that's grown or in the process of growing up, because a lot of us had to grow up too early. So I can't judge grown based off an age, and I can't judge grown based off of Mercedes Benz, because a lot of those motherfuckers don't post their weakest moments on social media. So you're in a state of comparison, and you're comparing yourself to a false idol. Well, not even a false idol, but just a false representation, because they show you one piece and you want to compare, well, why I ain't got. And I speak from experience, because I did a lot of unintentional comparing. So I ask God take that away, because you always think about these celebrities that got rich and got money and got platinum records and they commit suicide. That's because they're not fulfilled. They don't know a purpose. They're not strong in the Lord. So there's no tools to fight that battle. So just when you're talking one piece of what you see on social media, one nice outfit, one good pose, one bad bitch that you see all the time, she beautiful, but you don't know if she sees that at all, you know? You don't know if she feel loved. You don't know if she's healing from, because you're not going to post that on social media. I want to look good on social media. So if I could tell y'all anything, kill that spirit of comparison, please. Because social media is nothing but a trap. And will do a lot of not appreciating our blessings, because we ain't got this. And that was another point I brought up before. Be kind to yourself. Show mercy to yourself, because the only reason people keep disappointing you is because you're holding them to these standards that you hold yourself. I don't know, you got beat too much or could never do nothing right, but you're not going to be perfect. So kindness starts with yourself. So when you do take a step back, don't kick a dead horse, So some of the people I know, some of the best people I know, I got love for, and everybody's at a different level. Like, just like you can't communicate with one person the way you can communicate with the other, not everybody is at the same level. And I wouldn't say I got anybody on a pedestal, but there are some people that I highly love in my life. So if I had a quote to put on my tombstone, I've said this quote before, but this, they say you got a scripture that's tattooed on your heart. It'll be, for I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. So we did all this real, and I tell all my friends, because I think about my funeral a little too much. I think about when I go a little too much for a motherfucker that's not going to get to see it. But I tell all my friends, and I'm dead ass, spread my ashes in Magic City parking lot with the scribbles, please. And I would be happy. As far as my future goes, when you look at the future, I'm content with it not being as big as what I would have dreamed initially, because there's a lot of things that have been revealed to me about who I am as a person, and I'm content in purpose. But it doesn't have to be a big purpose. Just know that if I talk to one person and said something that affected their life and kept them pushing, that would be enough. So when I look at my future, I don't see how great it could be. I just want to be content. So as far as the future go, I know I don't want to be famous, and I don't want to be exposed to the industry, but I can't speak on my future, because I'm not thinking that far ahead. I'm working on baby steps now, because when you get the thinking about the future, you get anxiety and you stop appreciating the moment. So as far as my future goes, that doesn't concern me right now. So the definition of success changed for me because it's not just a goal and then, so break it down till you make it deeper. Music. Want to be famous, platinum record, flashing money, nice clothes, nice shoes. I want nice jewelry. That was the goal for my future, and that was my definition of success until I reached some enlightenment about it. And success is purpose and knowing that I'm doing something for somebody else, that I could save a soul by just telling my truth. Then we got this thing called patience. And I'm going to tell y'all now, this motherfucker wearing me out. I don't even, when I go to water parks, I don't even ride the motherfucking rides or the water slides because I get tired of waiting in line and my hair get dry. So I want to stay wet, so I just stay in the wave pool. Patience is kicking my ass. Kindness, I think I'm kind of good on kindness. I try to live my life the best I can, and I try to make every day a new day. And I'm not spiteful or vengeful. Well, sometimes I'm vengeful over certain things, but I try to offer kindness everywhere I go. Gentleness. I think not even me being gentle. I think I could use a gentle approach when motherfuckers approach me. So patience kicking my ass. Kindness I'm getting the hang of. And gentleness is what I wish I would receive. You know, a little compassion goes a long way. So with all this is we lead up to building a relationship with God. So when you're building a relationship with God, you have to have a communication with him outside of paying tithes or giving good deeds or just listening to the pastor preach. You have to open this line of communication with God. And he's going to talk to you and he's going to show you things and he's going to reveal things. And if you're chosen or you're different or you're special or you're meant to do anything, you're going to face trials. Because one thing I know for sure is if I'm already on the pathway to hell, the devil's not going to put any obstacles to block me from getting to where he wants me to be. So if I'm headed the right direction, then it's going to be way harder because the devil's trying to stop me from reaching where God wants me to reach. So when you open up communication with God, it's not all sweet. It's not all, oh, pray or tithe and you'll get it back. Or, oh, yeah, I want this house, so I'm going to pray and I'm going to be kind and I'm going to be gentle and I'm going to be compassionate because I want this house. And that's where your intention would be messed up because you're not doing it out of love. And you see a lot of people in church, because I grew up in church, but I never knew the Lord till I got grown. So it's not this sugar-coated give and you'll be given to, or karma comes back around. There are going to be some lows to that you're going to have to rely on God to dig yourself about that hole. So when we talk about this walk with faith, it often gets glorified into monetary possessions or a give to receive type thing, when the devil takes it personally when you have potential to change the world. So it's going to be hard and you're going to break and you're going to bend, because when you're on the potter's wheel and he's trying to rebuild a structure, he's got to break down some walls or he's got to form some new structure. So being made over hurts. You know, if you could hear the screams from the potter wheel without looking through the door, would you even stay to be remade? Would be, a good question, because it sounds like torture from the outside without looking in, but you're really in the bosom of God. You're really his child, and he's trying to make the best version of you, but it hurts, and you've got to reach low points because you'll never know how much you need God until you have nothing else. And that even goes with friendships or family members. They're not going to understand you when you're dealing with spiritual warfare. they might not offer compassion. They might not think twice. And then it'll start to get back to that heart being cold thing, because you want to harden your heart because it hurts that you don't have friends or family to help you deal with it, when God's got you in a season of isolation for a reason, because he's trying to make you new. He's trying to make you whole. And he's trying to show you that all you need is the Lord. So he's going to remove anybody else that can be a false idol or a crutch or a shoulder to lean on. And he's going to make you wipe your own tears. And he's going to make you stand back up yourself. And he's going to make you bear your own cross. And then he's going to bring you through. I think the most important part of that is he's going to bring you through. But when we talk about building a connection with God, I don't like to sugarcoat it like we don't go through spiritual warfare, because we're destined to be great, because God placed greatness inside of us. So, when you want a relationship with God, but it's not all butterflies and rainbows. And sometimes it's tears, blood, sweat. So when you're asking and you're praying, be specific in what you know you need, and always pray. When you ain't got nothing else, you got God, and I'm a living testimony. So here's an open question: is if God, see, he'll never leave you nor forsake you, and I know this, but if God decided that he didn't want to fool with you no more, or he decided to leave you, would you even shed a tear? And this comes from a thing where I cried so hard when my mama died, but the Lord is above my mother. So when I'm measuring or I'm gauging my relationship with God, I had to ask myself that question. If he decided to leave you, would you even shed a tear? Because you shed so many tears for your mother, and God ordained everything, and he cares for you, and you're his child. So if he were to withdraw that hand or that grace or that mercy, would you even shed a tear like you would for your earthly mother? Or do you have attachments to people deeper than your connection with God? So that's just some things to think about, because and then when you're in these battles and you're feeling lost, or you're feeling like you can't go on, and then you reach out and you get your next step and you're walking by faith and you don't know what it is, and all you want is a peace of mind, sometimes you run to things that are toxic to your growth, which would be step back. So what is your security blanket when it comes to feeling insecure? What do you run to? Because if you give that to God, you can correct that too. I'll run to a joke, period. So anything that makes me uncomfortable, I crack a joke. It'll be all right. Laughter soothes the soul. So, that would be my security blanket. And, I'm going to take that to God, because some moments don't require a joke. But that just seems to be the way it's my security blanket. It's the way I cope. So as far as legacy, your personal legacy, your professional legacy, your musical legacy even, what would you want your legacy to be on earth? I keep it real simple. As far as legacy goes, I just want to be known as a good person with a good heart. So when I die, just remember I was good, please. So accepting love. We're going to touch on that a little bit. Accepting love. When we get out here, and this goes back to comparison. You see all these relationships on Facebook, and you want that, and you're lonely, and you get to accepting people, and then you learn your lesson because they was the wrong person and you acted out of loneliness. So as far as accepting love, we have to, because we feel like we know how to give love. That's the easy part. But accepting love, when you've been through things and you have your security blankets or your toxic coping mechanisms, you really have to, before you get out here and start, I don't know what, interviewing people, I don't know, dating. when you get out here and you start to fiddle with new people, you gotta evaluate your life and what you have space for. So if I have space for a friend or a sneaky link, and that's all I have space for, not so much a relationship. We know the title changes things. It just gets real crazy after, yeah, you my boo. So you got to evaluate what you have space for. And people be like, oh, I'm a wife, I do this, I do that. But are you really equally yoked with the man God is trying to send you? Or do you have some more building to do? So can you accept love? Or are you still trying to push past boundaries that make you restrain from believing anybody that says they love you? Be it a direct approach or an indirect approach. Is there so much overanalyzing? And like I said about those boundaries, the wall not only keeps people out, it keeps you in. So when you're in there by yourself. So can you accept love? Is that something that not even you're willing to do? Because you can be willing to do but not have space for it, or still have toxic coping mechanisms that make it impossible, which is, you have to find ways to push those boundaries within yourself and to work slowly and gradually towards fixing those top security blankets or toxic coping mechanisms to be able to accept love. Because a motherfucker can reassure you all they want, but if you don't believe that they love you, it's not enough convincing in the world you can do. Because usually if you can't accept love, you don't feel worthy of love. So that's just something to think about. And then as far as life goes, you got phases. So you go through a lot of phases in life. So who I was at 19, I'm not. Who I was at 21, I'm not. Who I am at 28, who I am at 29, I won't be at 30. Because there's a progression rate. And I like to say that I'm progressing. So as far as the phases, and that's why it's important to, before you commit to somebody for life, you got to see them through their phases. And I think that's where, people meet on the internet or long distance relationships. I think that's where a lot of destruction comes in those relationships, because you're not getting to see these people in their different phases or be around them personally in their different phases. I mean, they might tell you what you want to know, but there's a lot of hiding that goes into that you can't, see people through seasons if you're not personally with them. So, that's just how I feel about that. So, you gotta start the healing process, because if something's stopping you from accepting love, then you're not ready for your soulmate to come, because everything has divine timing. There's a lot of situations I've been in. I love the bitch to death, but the time ain't right. So when you get to that situation, you gotta let go and let God, because I done prayed about it. So I'm not gonna try to force a motherfucker to open up with me, or sway them into letting down a boundary. Even though you want to be a safe place for people, sometimes you're just not gonna be. And as a caring person, I always want to be that safe place for somebody, because you can talk to me. But until they're comfortable with it, it causes trauma if you jump the fence of a boundary and try to force somebody into something they're not ready for. Because I've personally been forced into loving deeper than I was ready for. The nigga told me, you don't love me enough. So I went head first, all in. Started losing my mind, tripping. So, time heals, and I don't let a lot of stuff go. But, just work on your healing process, and then I like to speak on compassion because you never know what a motherfucker's going through. So just a little kindness, a little compassion could go a long way, because a lot of people were at the end of their rope last night and they still made it to today without ending it all, and you don't see any of that because all he got on them 270 Air Maxes. You know what I'm saying? Can't nothing be wrong with him. So just a little kindness and compassion, because you never know what a motherfucker's going through. You never know how close they was to the end of their rope. Like, you see people smiling the day before they suicide, and you're like, well, why, how the fuck did that happen? And then you ask about, and this is why I want all my friends to know, like, I'm not forcing it, but I want you to know that you can come and talk to me, because I be damned if I wait till you committed suicide to actually care or want to be there. I don't want to have to lose somebody to be my lesson in compassion and understanding and kindness. So anybody fuck with you the long way, come to me. You can talk to me, because I'll be damned if I gotta lose a motherfucker in order to be there for anybody. So, but we all got our own cross to bear, and you really become good at bouncing back. With you and the Lord, you really become really, really good at bouncing back and wiping your own tears. And then as far as friendship goes, that's when you get to choose who gets your company. Because when I'm out here needing love, or I'm needing attention, or I got these, I got these attachment issues, and I don't want to be alone because I don't want to face my demons. And I always have to fill my time with people, and then strays come along. So when you're wiping your own tears and venting to the Lord and pushing through on your own, you really get to weed out the people that are not for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, friendship-wise, lover-wise, you really get to evaluate who gets to be in your space. And a lot of times therapy can enlighten you, because we got a lot of people that deal with a lot of mental health issues, and it goes overlooked. And we like to talk about the African American community, but I mean, it's really everybody, because it's hard being mentally ill, and it's something you can't see. So it's not a first thought to consider. I mean, you can see somebody in a wheelchair and you're going to offer compassion because you can see that disability. Or you see somebody with a bald head, they got cancer, you're going to offer compassion that you wouldn't normally offer somebody. But with mental illness, it's invisible. So anybody struggling, I would suggest, there are places, there's therapy for you, there's medication for you, there are facilities for you if you ever feel like you're at an end, because this life we fight, and we fight a hard fight. So don't ever let the devil get in your head and tell you something God did not create you to be. So when you're talking mental illness, it is invisible, it is overlooked, it's bypassed, and it's not understood until you have a loved one that's gone through that, or you yourself has gone through that. There's a lot of hiding that goes behind it. There's a stigma, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people that say, oh, you're attention seeking, and I think that cut might be the deepest, because I'm not seeking attention, sometimes I'm seeking help. So a lot of these mood swings, or depression that you fight and stuff like that, when they come up to you, don't just peg them as an attention seeker for something you don't understand. You might actually want to get on Google and see what they're talking about, so you can give them a little understanding. Compassion goes a long way with mental illness. But I think I'm done. I think I'm done. This has been Lil Cookie Capone with Cookie's Cabaret. And we're going to call this the red light special. Oh, yes, Lil Cookie Mac. I don't look back. I hate things that I see. We sitting down for another conversation at the table. And we'll be back next week, or whenever I fucking feel like it. and we'll chat some more. Holla at you. Cookies Cabaret.